we'd like to share a story with you where the Garut Regency, West Java, had declared an emergency after a diphtheria outbreak within the area.
West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil said that 8 has died in the Regency. They were unvaccinated against the disease. Some public figures had previously discouraged vaccination on children.
Authorities have moved to boost vaccination rates in the regions, including through wider public education.
Diteliti salah satunya karena tidak divaksin. Kenapa tidak divaksin? Ada dinamika sosial, ya, ada tokoh masyarakat yang memberi himbauan tidak divaksin. Itulah yang akhirnya kita akan lakukan edukasi bahwa vaksin untuk anak-anak balita itu sangat penting untuk menghindari hal-hal seperti ini.
This is obviously concerning, especially for those of us with children. So to talk more about diphtheria that's been happening in young ones, joining us this morning is pediatrician Dr. Shela Sundawa. Good morning, Doc. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning.
Okay, can you first start off by describing what is diphtheria?
Okay, so diphtheria is a form of infectious disease.
Okay.
It is caused by bacteria called as Corynebacterium diphtheria.
Okay.
Therefore, we name the disease diphtheria. And as this is a disease, is infectious disease, we actually already found the vaccination since 1920.
Oh, okay.
So it is actually quite rare until recently. There are many unvaccinated children.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that's likely the reason that the numbers are on the rise.
Correct. Now, what actually the differentiation between diphtheria in children and in adults?
Okay, so diphtheria comes with many forms. There are mild, moderate to severe, and the asymptomatic form of the disease.
Okay.
In children who receive no vaccination, no previous diphtheria vaccination, they most likely will get the moderate to severe form of the disease. Meanwhile, in adult who has vaccinated before, they may get the diphtheria, but in a milder form or an asymptomatic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we did learn from COVID-19 that even though we are asymptomatic, we can still transmit COVID-19 to others. Is it the same with diphtheria as well?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So what are the symptoms that we should be looking for? Obviously, again, like COVID-19, if you have been vaccinated, you're likely going to suffer milder symptoms. What are the range of symptoms that we're looking out for here?
Okay. So the common symptoms of diphtheria are low-grade fever, and then sometimes it will accompanied by malaise, a sore throat, and if we look at the physical examination of those children with diphtheria, we may find a pseudomembrane, a white membrane inside the respiratory tract.
Okay. Can that be seen anywhere near the throat area as well?
Yes, most of the disease will appear in the throat, but it can appear anywhere in the respiratory tract.
Okay. This is concerning because a lot of the symptoms you described, like for example, low-grade fever or just not feeling well in general, that overlaps a lot of just even a flu or a common cold, right?
Yes, exactly. So I was just about to ask as well, how to differentiate between just a normal cold, normal flu with diphtheria. You know, maybe like with a microscope you can actually look at it, but like from the parents itself before they go to the doctor, is there any indication that this is actually not just a usual cold or flu?
Okay, so to make it easier for us to diagnose, the easiest is when we found a white membrane inside the throat.
Okay.
So we call this case as a suspect diphtheria case.
Okay.
If we found the children has no history of immunization, then the case will be further concluded as the probable. And if we do another examination, just like as COVID, we found the bacteria, so we call them as a confirmed case.
Okay. Is this through a blood test or?
This is through a sore.
We can swab.
We can swab from the throat.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about, we mentioned that vaccination rates actually have been down. Can we talk a little bit about that? First of all, I'm curious as to why it is that vaccination numbers are low. And is it a one-time, lifetime vaccination, or is it something that has to be repeated from time to time?
Okay, so for diphtheria, first of all, we receive a primary immunization for children under 1 year old,
Okay.
3 times immunization, 2 months, 4 months, and 6 months. Later on, we do the booster immunization at 18 months old, and then we give another booster during the children age 5 to 7 years. Usually we do it in a school program, in immunization month of school program, and then we repeat it again when they are 5th grade.
Fifth grade.
Yes,
Okay.
and for adult, we can repeat it together with tetanus, so it's 10 years, every
Oh.
10 years.
Okay, much
Okay.
better. So with that being the case, with this being part of school programs as well, why have the numbers gone down?
Well, we can see that as the pandemic hit, the most severe hit is in the primary sector of the primary health care. We can see the number of posyandu and the visit of primary health care been down to 70 to 90%. Meanwhile, we usually do immunization or vaccination during the program in posyandu or in a primary health care.
Right. Okay, that makes
So what actually is the rate or the number of people who got vaccinated in Indonesia? Like, is it just actually a common thing? And the news in West Java is actually an outlier, or what's actually like the condition here in Indonesia?
Well, maybe in West Java it is not an outlier, but it might be an iceberg phenomenon. I mean, we may find this.
there may be more.
Yes, unreported cases in other places because the coverage of immunization are really decreased during this pandemic.
Yeah, I have to say I'm a little bit guilty of that as well. I had babies right before. I had a baby before the pandemic. I had it during, and I do have to say we really in the beginning were very weary of going to get vaccinations unless it was absolutely necessary because we were advised to stay home. We weren't really advised to go out and
That's right.
if it wasn't necessary, especially to hospitals and things of that sort. So. Without vaccinations, you mentioned that symptoms can be moderate to severe. Can it cause any sort of complications within children?
Yes, diphtheria is a life-threatening disease.
Okay. What are we looking at here?
Yeah, if the children get infected by the bacteria, it will produce a toxin in the body, and it can spread to the heart, nervous system, and also kidneys. And therefore, it can cause myocarditis. It is a difficulty to pump the blood from the heart, and it also can cause disease in the nervous system and our kidney. Therefore, it is a life-threatening. And meanwhile, the respiratory tract disease, the severe form of the disease, can cause obstruction in the airway. This will cause a respiratory difficulty, and later on will cause a respiratory failure.
Okay.
Wow, so I think being vaccinated is very, very
Still the
important
best solution.
for this disease, right?
Yes.
Or is it the only solution to prevent it, or are there any other preventive measures?
So the most important prevention, the specific prevention for diphtheria is immunization. We can protect our children to not contacted with other children who get diphtheria, but how can we do that if we never know whether you or I are a carrier of the diphtheria? Because if we are an adult who get a complete immunization, we might have asymptomatic disease, we might carry the bacteria, and therefore we can also spread it to to children, especially who receive no or zero immunization.
And I can attest to that as well. Even despite all of the COVID restrictions and mask wearing, my kid goes back to school after the holidays. Immediately, within 3 days, she comes back with sniffles or a cold, right? So that's how easily kids can transmit to each other, let alone at home when adults are transmitting to the children as well. So what quick preventive measures for day-to-day kind of good habits can they maintain? Is it similar to COVID-19? Do they just have to like wash their hands and stay clean? What are some of the good habits they should be building?
Okay, so diphtheria is infected the children by droplet.
Okay.
So as the same with COVID, we can, when we sneeze or we cough, we need to cover our mouth and then we need to wash our hand. Yeah, but it's not enough.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So definitely immunization is the key here. So any advice to those who perhaps are behind on their vaccinations? Is there a catch-up? Because with adults, it's every 10 years, but with kids, it seems to be like spaced out more closely the younger they are. Is there a way to catch up on immunizations as well?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is a way to catch up immunization. There is no late when we want to vaccine our children. There is no word of when we say it's late, no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
So better late than never. I guess.
Absolutely.
Better late than never.
Especially in this case. All right, Doc, thank you so much for this kind of deeper look into diphtheria, something that we're not really too familiar with because the last 3 years we've been so consumed with COVID-19.
Yep.
But again, there are other diseases and viruses out there. Stay safe, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc.
Phil.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.